Welcome back to the Wolverine TV. Clayton Sayfie here with EJ Holland. This edition, we are going to break down the 5 most underrated Michigan commits by Rivals rankings. EJ, let's start with one of the more obvious ones, Kenneth Grant. 3-star defensive tackle out of Merrillville, Indiana, pledged a few weeks back to the Maize and Blue. He's not just one of the most underrated guys in Michigan's class, but perhaps the entire 2022 recruiting class.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a no-brainer. I mean, we've talked about it plenty of times. Look, Ken's rated as a 5.6 right now, which is a mid 3-star. I think it's pretty egregious. You look at what Ken's done this season at his size, and it's really unbelievable. I mean, just turn on the tape and it'll pop out right away. But he's 6'5", 340 pounds. It moves really, really well for his size. He could be a top 100 guard if he wanted to. He's been dominating along the offensive line. Really impressed with his ability to even go both ways at that size and dominate the way he does. But again, just really quick for that size. He's a perfect fit for Michigan's scheme as a nose. He can play a little 3-tech if needed. I like he retweeted something that I tweeted today, and I clicked on his profile and his bio has changed to like athletic nose guard, and it's like athletic in all caps. And I was like, all right,
is he still a mammoth then?
I mean, he is still a mammoth.
Okay.
He's still 340 pounds, but he's an athletic mammoth. I mean, if he was an offensive lineman, we would call him a dancing bear. But he is a guy that just, again, moves really, really well for that size. And I think that's what makes Kenneth Grant really special. And the thing about Ken is he didn't go to any camps, like 0 camps in terms of like the Rivals camps or the Under Armour camps or the opening camps. He didn't do any of that. He did a couple of school camps and some of these workouts on campus that coaches were allowed to do, but he didn't do any of the national media camps. And I think a lot of people didn't really get an opportunity to see Ken live. On top of that, he lives close to Gary, Indiana, about 5-10 miles away from Gary. And Rivals as national guys aren't really hitting the road and traveling out to Gary. So I don't think they had a chance to see him live. And so I think he's just one of the more hidden guys just because he didn't do camps. The Rivals national team didn't see him live. And so it was a tremendous evaluation by Sean Nua, who offered him before he really started to gain more traction, and obviously was able to close the deal with him. But I think Ken's ranking is a product of people just not getting any type of look at him.
Yeah, and just for the people out there that don't know the exact process, EJ's seen him quite a few times, but he doesn't have, any say in the rankings. Can give some input here and there, but nothing on the rankings. So that's why him seeing him multiple times has not impacted any of the rankings. And obviously, I think Michigan fans, trust your evaluation quite a bit based on the amount of kids that you see out on the road. The next guy is another defensive tackle, another guy who pulled the trigger recently, Mason Graham. More of an outside, maybe defensive tackle, but out of California, plays for a national powerhouse, which makes it a little bit more perplexing why he isn't ranked accurately.
Yeah, this one's also a stupid ranking. It's 5.5, which is the lowest of the 3 stars. This one makes way less sense than Kenneth Grant in the sense that Mason Graham has all the exposure in the world. He plays at Servite, which is a top program nationally. On top of that, Rivals national directors based out there. So I know that Mason's gotten some eyes on him. Not really sure why he's ranked so low. He obviously was a bit of a late riser, being committed to Boise State and then suddenly blowing up, committing to Michigan, garnering offers from Oregon and USC. But kind of the same thing with Ken. You turn on the tape and it's there. His production on the field is tremendous. He's playing against some of the best teams in the country. Going in the Trinity League, which also features Modern Day, St. John Bosco. I mean, these are top tier programs nationally at the high school level, and he's having a really, really, really good senior season. So I think the bump for him is pretty obvious. I mean, I would be shocked if Rivals doesn't bump Mason Graham, especially with the recent traction he's gained, with what he's putting on film, with who he's doing it against. And we talked about Kenneth Grant being a great fit for Michigan's scheme. Mason Graham's a great fit for Michigan's scheme as well. He'll play that defensive tackle role next to Ken. And, when I went out to see Mason, he made it clear that he's really, really excited to play next to Ken. He said, I'll let Ken handle the nose duties and I'll do my thing from the 3 and the 5, and we'll get things rolling. And I think those are, despite Ken being a 5.6, Mason being a 5.5, these are two of the best lands in the cycle.
Yeah, and it should be a pretty good 1-2 punch down the road for Michigan. This one makes a little more sense in terms of guys not getting out to see him. Colston Loveland out of Gooding, Idaho. Beautiful town, I hear, even though I've never been there. But, your thoughts on him, a guy who also posts ridiculous numbers, and I know he's not playing in the best competition, but, looking at some of the stats, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see Colston Loveland live. I will be seeing him here in the near future. But you turn on the tape, you look at his measurables. I mean, it's all there. Michigan has done a really good job recruiting the tight end position. Jay Harbaugh has done a great job of developing the tight end position. I think Colston Loveland is next in line to be one of the great tight ends at Michigan. He is all of 6'5", 230 pounds. He's extremely athletic. He is way out in Idaho, so nobody's really seen him from the Rivals national team. He is, I think his profile picture right now is a blurry little image just because nobody's seen him. But again, he's super athletic. He's extremely well built, both in his upper and his lower half. In fact, he made the visit to Michigan, and Jay Harbaugh hadn't really seen him in a live setting before either, just because of COVID restrictions and the dead period. And Jay Harbaugh immediately called Colston Loveland's high school coach and was like, "Oh my God, you weren't lying about this kid. He really is this size and he really does look like this." And you match that up with what he has put on film, not just this year, but last year. I mean, he's completely dominant. And again, it's not the best competition, but for him to be that dominant, for him to have that athletic profile, the size, the speed, Colston Loveland checks all the boxes that you want for an elite tight end. So right now, Rivals has him ranked as a 5.7 3-star. I think Colston is easily a 4-star prospect, and his offer sheet speaks volumes too. I mean, he had some pretty big offers and decided to pick Michigan over some SEC programs and bigger programs out west.
Yep, so it'll be good for you to get a look at him coming up in the next few weeks or whenever you see him. And then Deuce Spurlock is a guy who you did see over the weekend last Thursday and, obviously left pretty impressed based on the fact that he's on this list.
Yeah, so Deuce Spurlock is a guy that I really didn't have a gauge for. I turned on the film and you could see some of that upside. You could see the athletic profile, but it was just really hard to kind of determine. So I can see why he might be rated a little low at a 5.5. I don't think it's one of those like no-brainers like Kenneth or Mason, but I think once you go out and you watch him move around and you actually get an up-close look at the way he's built, first of all, he's 6'2", 220, and he's built like a tank. You look at him here, he's pretty wide to where he can add more weight in his upper half. His lower half is built extremely well. I love the way his lower half is built. He moves really, really well in space. We talk about speed and space for the offensive side of the ball at Michigan, but Mike Macdonald's defense is built around having speed and space, being able to cover as one of those linebackers, being able to run sideline to sideline. And so you've seen Mike Macdonald really pursue inside backers that are athletic, that have speed, that are still raw but have upside. And Deuce Spurlock is exactly that description. I do think he plays against a little bit of a lower competition in the state of Alabama, but he like Colston Loveland, is dominant against that competition. And, I know scheme fit isn't really taken into account when looking at rankings, but that can really make or break guys a lot. If you go to school that doesn't really fit you, you might not excel as if you went to a school that does fit you. And I think with Michigan and Deuce, he's a perfect fit for what Michigan is looking for at the position. I think he's a guy that's going to outplay his ranking. So again, rated as a 5.5, the lowest 3-star rating you can get. I would bump him up to a 5.7, high 3-star. And I think he's a guy that can even exceed that ranking just based on the upside and the scheme fit.
Last guy, also a 3-star, Connor Jones. Committed to Michigan when Ed Warner was the offensive line coach. Ed Warner, known for finding some diamond in the rough type guys. He's a diamond in the rough, but at the same time, now that he has this kind of publicity and the way he's performing, seems like that he should be more of just a really good prospect.
Yeah, I really like Connor Jones. You mentioned Ed Warner doing the eval, and even though Ed Warner is no longer on staff at Michigan, I always respected the evaluation process that he took on and how meticulous he was in evaluating offensive linemen. And so I think the fact that Warner took Connor as early as he did speaks volumes of Connor's upside and his talent. And I went out to Colorado Springs to watch him earlier this fall, and was just really impressed with him. Again, like some of the other guys we've talked about on this video, doesn't play against the best competition, but the athleticism at 6'7", the length he has, the aggression he has. He's a guy that loves to finish blocks. He's, again, 6'7", all of 6'7". He moves really, really well. He looks comfortable in pass pro, and having that aggression and willingness to just be a road grader in the run game is also a plus. But what stands out to me about Connor, and one of the biggest reasons I think he'll outplay his ranking, are the intangibles. One, he's an extremely smart kid and a student of the game. He already goes over film with Sharon Moore on a weekly basis to enhance his game. Actually, when I saw him live, one of the areas he was really excelling at was down blocking. I was like, man, Connor's just killing kids on these down blocks. And after the game, I didn't even ask him about the down blocks. He kind of brought it up himself. He was like, one of the things me and Coach Moore watched on film this week was down blocks, and I applied it to the game this week. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. Like, you're killing it on the down blocks. So I think he is very coachable. I think he is a guy that really understands concepts. And then on top of that, he's a gym rat. He's a guy that loves the weight room. When he visited Michigan, he was all about getting with Ben Herbert and learning more with Abigail O'Connor and learning more about the diet and nutrition program. He works with Matt McChesney, who's a top trainer at 6-0 Academy out in the Denver area. So he's a guy that's going to do all the right things, and he's been a Michigan fan since birth. His dad's originally from Ohio and grew up a Michigan fan, so he loves the program. He's going to do everything that Michigan asks of him. So I think all of those factors will allow Connor to outplay his 5.5 ranking. I would rank him as a 5.7, high 3-star based on upside. Still has some things to work on. Still needs to add some weight to his frame. But I really think Connor is going to be the ultimate team guy at Michigan, and I think he's going to really surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these guys may surprise people, especially the ones that go right off of the rankings. But we will see if they get rankings bumps as the months go forward, or when they get on campus, just what they can do, even if they are ranked a little bit low. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see everybody next time.